let's talk a little bit about what your interaction has been with Elliott and what they want from you. The activist investor then, Paul Singer's Elliott Management. Do you have plans to meet with them at this point?
I would say that we did not receive any formal interaction or letter from Elliott with respect to their position in Telecom Italia. We've just been informed they have some position, I will assume around 3 to 5%. Anyhow, I think, more importantly is to really remind everyone on the news flows coming from the company. On Tuesday, we announced record fourth quarter results, both on top line, bottom line, impressive improvement in the net financial positions and cash flow generation, as well the new strategic plan, where we announced new guidelines for the company for 2018-20, of which will triple the free cash flow generations compared to the last 3 years. So generally, a set of good news, including historical decision of the network separation into separate legal entity that I believe will build value going forward.
Okay, so you've set out there the results and what you think what you are delivering for shareholders. No doubt we'll touch on that in just a moment a little more. But in terms of the activists, it seems that they are criticising Vivendi's grip on Telecom Italia. Do you envisage changing the way you work with Vivendi, your relationship with Vivendi as a result of this at all?
I would say that clearly we are hearing, not formally, that they have those kind of points of view with respect to the board of directors positioning, compositions, and maybe some asset valuations that could be maybe sold or IPOs in order to highlight the overall value of the company. I would say that the board is generally new, is less than 1 year. I'm a new CEO, only 5 months. The position being built by Elliott is less, built before the announcement of the fourth quarter results and the new strategic plan. So I believe that we need some time to digest these information and analyze what does it mean with respect to their view on the company. The board of Telecom Italia is the most functional board we had in the last many years, and some decisions been made, including the approval of the strategic plan, being unanimous, of the entire 15 board members. An historical decision like the network separation that is on the table of Telecom Italia for the last 15 years, never been approved in previous boards. So clearly we have a very unanimous and functional board, and we have to understand better what exactly they have in mind with respect to the board composition.
Yes, I mean, and he talks about the board composition. We understand, and we see news reports, just as you do, no doubt, about names being suggested for your board and objections to particular people on your board. Have you heard no names then? He has not approached you about any specific names, people he wants to put on the board at this time?
No, formally we did not receive anything, from Elliott. Again, we'd love to meet with them, hear what they have in mind. We meet regularly all the shareholders of the company. Just in January, we had an offsite with all key fund managers and analysts reviewing the company. Their input helped us to shape a lot the 2018-20, plans. We got extremely good feedback from most shareholders, all shareholders that following the company after the announcement of the results and announcement of the strategic plan. So I believe, the market in general very pleased with what we are doing at the company.
Is this the only shareholder expressing concerns about the Vivendi-linked board?
I would say that in the way we're hearing in the news, clearly is the only one that has expressed, concerns about the company strategic directions. We are receiving a substantial, feedback and support from most shareholders relating to what the company did since I joined the company in September of last year.
Okay, Matt.
Well, I hate to belabor the point. I do want to get to your actual underlying business, but have you picked up the telephone and called Paul Singer? I mean, do you have an appointment to meet with somebody at Elliott? Do you expect to be able to do that today, tomorrow, Saturday? What's the plan?
No, we clearly, again, in normal touch with all of our major shareholders, and one of them is Elliott today. We clearly on a roadshow starting today in London and continues in New York and Boston next week, following the announcement of the Q4 results and new strategic plan. And one of the company will meet in this roadshow will be Elliott. So hopefully we'll hear from them exactly if they have any different views than what we have in mind as management and what other shareholders are telling us they would like to see at Telecom Italia in the next few years.
Let's talk about the actual business. You've just split off the landline division. That's really a monstrous move for any incumbent telecom player. How does that go along with your strategy? Are you looking to shrink and grow profits? I mean, how does this fit into what you plan?
Now, as we mentioned, it's a really historical, step for Telecom Italia, and I believe it will, benefits the company in various ways. First, no doubt, the regulatory environments will improve around Telecom Italia, of which we believe will have easing on the regulatory constraints we have on the service part of the company. It's improved the relationship with the governments and with the regulators. We already received in the last 2 days numerous of calls from government officials and regulators, supporting that kind of a decision. Third, clearly, as a legal separate entity with its own balance sheets, assets, P&L, it will be in a position to play a role in the consolidation game of the infrastructure arena in Italia. And eventually will be in a position to access its own capital in the market on the road. But no doubt that that kind of separations is the first move that will enable people to see the underlying value of the pieces of Telecom Italia, which we as management believe clearly that the sum of the parts has a greater value than the current value of the entire group.
So is this a move? Is this a stepping stone to selling this off entirely? Full separation?
Not selling it off, yes. I'm just saying, it's a first step. Now it will be controlled 100% by Telecom Italia. Eventually, other things might happen with that company, but we're clearly still keen to have control on that assets, as believe the network assets will have more and more value with 5G and cloud, evolutions that are happening in the telecom market today.
Well, let me ask about Telecom Italia getting more digital. What are your plans for bringing the company truly into the future? Is 5G sort of the basis of your strategy?
What we're seeing in the telecom market those days is really a structural change in the way telecom operators building their own future business. And we clearly would like to integrate all these innovations happening around us in our new strategic plan. And one of them is clearly 5G, and we are going to bid on the spectrum of 5G during, second half of 2018, and probably start rolling out the network by end of 19 and more significantly during 2020. 5G is a game changer in the mobile technology. It will enable slicing of the network, differentiate services to differentiate platform and services. Anyhow, clearly digitalization will enable us to use more cloud and virtualize our networks, increase the interaction of our customers with digital apps, and by that reduce substantially the cost of call centers and so on.
And just to go back to where we started the conversation, as we've talked a bit about the business, have you spoken to Vivendi about what Elliott intends? Does Vivendi express any concern about what Elliott intends towards your company?
No, clearly we are in constant touch with Vivendi, and the chairman of Telecom Italia is as well
make of all of this?
Is the CEO of Telecom Italia. I believe they're very confident in the directions we are taking as a management and the board position. It's very clear. We are in touch with many other shareholders to understand their position, and them, like us, looking forward to hear from Elliott any specific requests they have that are not being addressed in the last strategic plan. So we'll let them study the plan, and hopefully it will come with more clear view about what they would like to change.
But you'll see them on the roadshow, so
we'll
within the next couple of weeks?
Yes, in a couple of days.